Hey guys, well, I don't know if this story is actually making a mention outside of Australia, but for all of you that aren't aware, we have these three awesome guys that are really true guardians of Mother Earth that really do give a shit about this planet and our children's futures because let's be truthful here, what we're doing to Mother Earth, how we are fucking up our planet and shitting in our own nest and slaughtering species after species for nothing but financial greed and corruption, well, that's what our children are going to inherit. So when we have people like this that are actually willing to stand up against the machine and say, stop, this is not going to happen while we're here, then we should actually be standing up and giving them a applause. But no, what does our Australian Prime Minister, mouthpiece for corporations and who doesn't give a fuck about the children of tomorrow, and mind you, she doesn't even have any fucking children, so why the fuck would she care anyway? So she doesn't give a crap about our planet. She doesn't give a crap about what our children are going to inherit in the next 50 years. No, all she cares about is being a puppet for the corporations and a puppy dog to the USA and the UK. And so her whole line was, they're not heroes. Okay? How dare she? I've got news for you, Gillard, you lying sack of shit. Oh, yes, they're heroes. And I will tell every child in Australia that these men care more about them and their future than you ever would, you piece of frickin' scum. You don't give a crap about any of them. All you care about is being a mouthpiece for the fucking corporations. That's all you give a shit about. You know, these guys are actually taking on the Japanese government, which, by the way, in case people aren't aware, some of the money that was given to the Japanese government to rebuild Japan after the tsunami and the nuclear accident have actually gone to rebuilding the whaling industry. So just know, if you're donating any money to Japan, well, you really don't know where it's going. I mean, just imagine how much those hundreds of thousands of dollars could have helped the children of Japan that are currently going to school in and around these exclusion zones that have now been decreased, okay, because the Japanese government are fucking corrupt. They're no different than any other government. TEPCO are fucking corrupt, okay, and they are liars. They're trying to say that they are whaling for scientific research when their own people have actually uncovered the consumption of whale meat and there's a black market for the stuff over there. And our government's quite happy to allow this to happen just off the waters of Australia. Okay, it wasn't in international waters, but it wasn't that far from where Australian waters were. And, you know, Australian government stands there and tells everybody just how much they fucking care about their people and the children, okay? They don't give a shit. They don't care what they do to this planet. People need to understand that we better hope and pray that Mother Earth resets herself this year or in the coming years. That the power elite really do start to lose their footing, because I don't think that if we see major change and we start standing up and speaking out against what they're doing to our planet and us and our children's futures, then we're not going to have a fucking planet in 50 to 100 years. Look at the damage we're doing now. Look at the change in what we're seeing with our weather systems. I mean, this could be caused by the BP oil fuck up that interacted with the Gulf Stream. You know, the Gulf Stream was actually stopped from all that bullshit core exit and shit that they were fucking spraying over there. And here we have three true heroes that have actually stood up against the machine, and oh, our government says they're not heroes. And you know what? This guy here was taken away and imprisoned because he actually was protesting against something else. I think it was to do with deforestation, and he didn't pay the fine. So what do? As soon as he gets to the shores of Australia, oh no, Gillard doesn't say, good on you, mate, standing up against those assholes that are coming near Australian waters and killing the whales. No, they shove him in jail. And then she calls him no hero. And then she starts telling us all how much the taxpayers have to pay to bring these guys back to Australia. Well, you know what, Gillard? I can tell you now that I contribute quite a bit with my tax-paying money, and I would pay triple to have these guys go over there and do the fucking same thing again. So you are a lying sack of shit, Gillard, and I can't stand you, you piece of shit. I just cannot understand how anyone can't see this moron for who she is. She's a total fucking puppet. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's been groomed for this position ever since she came over to Australia as a young girl. And the whole freaking charade of her coming in and stabbing Kevin Rudd in the back was all freaking planned, because she knew she'd never get in on the vote alone, that people would not vote this bitch in. So they used Kevin Rudd, who was very warm, and people were really quite drawn to him. They used him to get them into power, and then they used this frickin' bitch, Gillard, to stab him in the back, and now we are under the enslavement of her fucking government, who are nothing but puppets for the corporates and nothing but puppets for the American government and the UK government. That's why they're allowing the frickin' US Marines to train in Darwin. You know, she didn't bring it to a referendum to the people. She didn't ask us what we thought about it. I don't want the US fucking Marines training in Darwin, Gillard, and you work for me, bitch, okay? So you need to get your head out of your ass and start listening to what the people are saying. But of course she's not going to do that, and it doesn't matter how much I scream at this freaking computer, it's not going to change matters. So what we've got to start doing is making our voices be heard. You know, I'm kind of sick and tired of hearing people say things like, oh, well, you're just adding to it, you know. Oh, you know, it's really not going to make any change that you're just sitting there, you know, ranting. You know what? What the fuck has apathy done? What the fuck is sitting around waiting for something to happen done? Because that's all we've done for the last 40 years, 50 years. We've done nothing. We've put all of our faith in a fucking government that's intent on destroying us and our planet. And still we sit down and we sit back and we go, oh, it'll all be right. It'll all work itself out in the end. I can just let somebody else talk about that, or I can let somebody else rant about that. You know, people got to start standing in their own truth. If you see shit that you don't like, if you see shit that's wrong, then if you don't say anything about it, then you're just adding to it. You're just adding to that negativity. You're not doing anything to stop it. By saying nothing, you're not doing anything to stop it, okay? You're just encouraging it. You're just perpetuating it. If you want to stop what's going on, then you need to let people know around you that you don't agree with it, because then you might start them questioning it. But when everyone's silent, when everyone's so worried about what everyone else thinks of them, because, oh, they might think I'm a bit of a nutter, or they might think that I'm a bit weird because, you know, I want to speak out against that, and I want to say that they shouldn't be killing whales, or they shouldn't be, you know, destroying the earth, and they shouldn't be mining like that, and maybe that's not a good idea. No, people just be quiet and they sit down and they don't want to say anything. Well, you know what? You know what's needed in these times? Fucking courage is needed. Bravery and courage is needed to make things change. So if we just continue to bend over, okay, and allow the governments and corporations of this world to continually screw us, then we are going to get more of the same. So my actual call is to everybody to start standing in your truth. Start voicing your disapproval when you see things that you don't like. And if people say, well, we don't want to hear your opinion, or we don't really care, so what? Who gives a fuck if they don't care or they don't want to hear it? You know, you have a right to voice your freaking discontent. You are a free, sovereign being. And if you don't like something, then it is up to you to tell people that you don't like it. then maybe they will start being braver about saying that they don't like things either. And guess what? Then we start the domino effect. And then we may actually one day hit critical mass.